everybody, I'm Corinne Blackstone and welcome to my craft room. Before we get started, be sure to check out my Instagram listed down below. I post lots of great fun crafts over there, some really quick tutorial, tips, tricks, and hacks, and I would love to have you over there on Instagram. Today's video is one that I have been really excited to make, but I wanted to make sure that I had a really fun idea to do it. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how to create an SVG. Now this one is geared towards making an SVG for a Glowforge or laser cutter, but you can use a lot of the same concepts when making SVGs for your Cricut, Silhouette, or other cutting machines. It's super easy, so don't be intimidated. If you've never worked with Inkscape before, this walks you through each and every step of creating the design. You're going to use text, you're going to use shapes, you're going to learn how to use union, path, difference, all sorts of really fun, productive things that you can relay into other designs. I'm going to show you how to make this really fun ornament, which I've shown on my Instagram before, but this one is super, super fun. It's easy to do, and like I said, you're going to learn some new skills. You can download Inkscape completely free at inkscape.org. I do, however, recommend using version 0.92, which to me is the least buggy of the versions. And it's the one that I use in this video, so all of your options will be in the same place as I show. So let's head over to Inkscape and get started. Whatever we do it just for fun. Today, I'm going to show you how to create an SVG. Now, we're specifically creating for the Glowforge. However, you can translate this over into how to create SVGs for your other cutting machines like your Cricut and your Silhouette and all of those things. So a lot of the skills that you'll learn in this video, you can really use to create designs for other programs. But again, we're specifically going to be speaking about the Glowforge, but it'll be okay. You can totally watch this even if you don't have a Glowforge. Now what I'm going to create is the Christmas ornament that you saw in the beginning, and it's really easy to do. It's really a fun way to kind of get used to using Inkscape and learning how to do things in their software. And that's the way I like to do it. I want to keep it really simple for you guys to start. We'll get more complicated in the future. But this is a really fun way that you can make your own designs. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to start with the initial circle that is going to be the outside of our ornament. Now, we can resize this anytime during this, so I'm not really going to focus on sizing right away, but we will size it before we finish. So what I'm going to do first is this pink circle right here is create circles, ellipses, and arcs. And this is what we're going to select to start with our very first circle. Now, you'll see you have a red kind of oval looking guy on your screen. What you want to do to create a perfect circle is hold Control or Command on your keyboard and just pull out, and you'll see your circle in red look a little funky like that, but if you just pull kind of straight out, you'll get a perfect circle. So again, don't worry about sizing. We'll come back to that. Now, I will say red really kind of bothers me, so if you don't like the color, you can change it, but it won't matter what color it is right this second. But it bothers me, and I don't like seeing it, so we're going to change it to this kind of light blue. Now, I'll zoom in a little bit on the screen so that you guys can see a little better what we're doing. But I like to have it a little bit out when I have the whole circle and I'm making that part. Now, what we'll need to do is to create the inner circle for our design. So it's really easy. Again, you're just going to select your circle creator guy, or another option is to select this circle, right click on it, and click duplicate. You'll see now that you have two circles, and I'll change the color of one. I actually really like to just use duplicate most of the time because it's a lot easier. Now, a quick cool option that you can do here is first I want to go up to the top because I'm going to resize this circle so that it fits inside the other circle, and a really easy way to do this. So what I want to do is up here at the top, you'll see a width, a lock, a height, and then you'll see measurement units. First thing I always do is just click that lock button. And the next thing that I'm going to do is change this over to inches. Now, I want about an inch, maybe inch and a half measurement to go with my outside ring. So you can easily do that by just reducing this to about a 7. I would say let's do it like 7.458. Click enter once you've placed that measurement in, and then you'll see now you have a smaller circle. Now, if you want it to be a little bit wider, you can absolutely go in and change your measurements and just play with it until you're happy with how big your ring on the outside is. This is totally up to you. There is no right or wrong size to do this. It's whatever kind of design you want it to look like, but this is a great way to kind of play with it and see the difference in size. Now, I do want to make sure that this is fully centered before I do anything else. So what I'm going to do is if you go up to Object, which is kind of the center option here, and you click where it says Align and Distribute, it will open up the Align and Distribute menu. Now, this looks really confusing, and I promise you it's not, but it does look a little bit intimidating. So don't worry, you'll get it. I promise we will work together, and I will make sure that you understand this menu. So it does have a lot of options. And it has a lot of things that can be a little bit intimidating if you've never played with it before. But what I love is if you hover over things, it tells you what it does. So this aligns right edges of objects. This aligns left edges. This centers on a vertical axis. This aligns right sides. This aligns left sides, bottoms, tops. This is the horizontal axis. This is aligning the bottoms. This is aligning the top edges. So there's all sorts of different options. So you can just kind of hover over them to see which option is the option that you want. And they also have aligning for text as well. Now in this case, I obviously want it centered fully together. So what I'm going to do is draw a big box by just holding my mouse button down and letting it go after I've drawn the box that touches all of the design. The first one I want to do is I'm going to align it vertical, and then I'm going to align it horizontal. Now, you'll notice that mine didn't really move. I'm pretty good at eyeballing center, but okay, let's say that I can't eyeball a center to save my life. What I'll do, let me draw that box again so that you guys can get a better idea of what it looks like when you mess with this. So I'll align them centered by the vertical axis, and then I'm going to align them center on the horizontal axis. You see how much more it moved now that I didn't just center it by my eyes. Like I said, that for some reason is something I'm very good at, and I have no idea why. Now, once you have both of these selected, they're aligned the way you want them. Once you have everything aligned, we'll make sure everything's selected, of course, and you're going to go to Path, and what you want to do is do Path Difference. What that'll do is it's basically like using Slice in Design Space, and it slices out the circle in the center for your design. So now that we have our circle and our little like middle part gone, and you'll see here, see how you can see the bound line here through it. That's why I leave that on so you can kind of see through it. Makes it a little easier. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit because we need to add a few circles in this design so that we have somewhere to hang it from and so that we have somewhere to hang our snowflake from. So the first thing I'm going to do is again open up a circle. I'm going to hold Control, and I'm just going to create just a pretty decent sized circle because this is where our ribbon will go through. So it's really easy, but you'll notice again we want to use Align because I want this to be centered on my circle. So again, I'm going to select both items, and in this case we only need to align it vertical. We don't need to do it so that it's in the very center. So once you're happy with that and you've got your circle where you want it to be, the next thing that you're going to want to do is go to Path and choose Union. That's like using weld in Design Space. And this is basically what the Glowforge is going to cut out. So like I said, while this is kind of a Glowforge centered video, I'm trying to use some Cricut terms too because I know a lot of guys and girls know those Cricut terms way better than most other things. Now, of course, we need a hole to put the ribbon through. So again, I'm just going to create another circle. This is just a lot of circles, real easy to do. And I'm just going to kind of make it however big I think it should be. I don't usually measure too much, and then I kind of get it about where I want it as far as like down from the edge here, and then I'll just do the same thing where I select everything, I just align it, and then what you'll do is do that Path and Difference again. Now you'll see that you have a hole for your ribbon. We have one additional circle that we need to put into this, so I'm going to open up yet another circle, and this one I'm going to make just a little bit smaller. This one does not need to be a very large circle, but we do want to make sure that it's centered and that it does have a little bit of space here between the bottom of this circle and where this hole is going to go. Again, I'm going to select everything. I want to align them, and then I'm going to do the Path and Difference again. This is going to be where the little O-ring goes in to hold on to our hanging snowflake. From here, we can add our snowflake, and you can just use an image from Google, and I'm going to show you how to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into File, and I'm going to click Import. I'll need to find the folder that I put my image in, which was in my Glowforge folder. So I just need to open that up, and then I just need to find whatever image I want to use. I'm going to use this snowflake here. Now it's going to ask me some options here. Just click OK. You don't need to change anything. Now we do need to convert this so that it is in fact an SVG. So one of the things that I like to do is I'm just going to go to Path. I'm going to go to Trace Bitmap and just simply remove background and click OK. Move this one over to the side and delete your original snowflake. Once your snowflake has been changed over, you can just get rid of this box, just close it. And the next thing that we want to do is size the snowflake down. Now it's really important that we don't change the scale of our snowflake. So you'll do that by holding Control on your keyboard and grabbing one of the arrows and just sizing it down. You can kind of play with it and see how big you want it. I like my snowflake to take up a lot of space in my circle. I really prefer it to be a little bit bigger. Now, if it kind of moves your circle a bit, that's okay. It's normal. You have to make sure you click directly on to the snowflake in order for it to onto this line, or it'll kind of grab the wrong thing. Now, again, I want this to take up a lot of the circle, but I want it to be able to spin on its own. So you just want to give it a little bit of space around itself. That looks pretty good. Now remember, we need to add one more circle because we need to be able to hang our little snowflake off of this. So what I'm going to do is add a little circle here. So I'm just going to do Control, and I'm going to draw a little circle. Oops, and he's getting a little funky. So you see how it kind of wants to keep doing this where it keeps grabbing onto stuff? If you're having a problem with that, turn off this snapping tool right here up in the upper right-hand corner. I'm going to delete that circle real quick and just start over so that it's not trying to snap to itself. I've made a new circle and I'm going to make it a little bit smaller because it is a tad too big. And what I want to do is I want to actually create it to add to the snowflake. We're going to have one little part of our snowflake that doesn't have a point on it, just to make it easier and a little more stable for the O-ring to go on for the little jump ring. So you want to select your circle, and you can hold Shift and select your snowflake, go to Path, and just click Union. You'll see everything has turned black, and that's perfect. Now, of course, one more circle. There's a lot of circles in this, but this is a great way to learn how to create your own SVGs. It's very simple. Grab another circle, and I'm just going to make a little one that's going to take over this little edge right here. It's going to make the hole so that we can loop the jump ring through. Now you can kind of play with this, and if you can't get it vertical by yourself, just go ahead, select them, and again, use that align tool, and it will put it in the vertical space for you. Once you have everything aligned and you're happy, go to Path and choose Difference, and it'll cut that hole out for you so that you can easily have everything kind of set the way you want it to be. Now I'm pretty happy with this so far, and we're going to add some text as well, and it's really, really fun to be able to add text to your designs. But one thing I want to note is that if you're doing this with a Glowforge, it knows the colors of your designs. So if you want something that's going to be cut out to be more than one just piece that's being cut out, make them the same color. So in this instance, I want it to cut around my circle here, and I want it to cut around my snowflake. So I'm just going to make them the same color. That way, when I take this over into the Glowforge software, it knows both of those items are to be cut out, not scored or engraved. The next thing that we're going to do is add some text. So I'm just going to type in the Blackstones, and I probably want to make sure I capitalize that last name. That would be good. So you can choose any font that you want, and this is just like any other software. The font's pretty much in the upper left-hand corner, and just choose whatever font you want. It doesn't really matter. You can pick a fancy one. You can pick something a little more plain. It's really up to you and the style that you want to go with and how you want it to look. Like I said, there's really no wrong way. You just choose what makes you happy and the way you want your design to look. So I think I'm going to go with something a little bit simple and kind of plain, just because I want it to just look a little more classic and kind of just you know, nothing fancy. So I'm going to go ahead and choose one. I like this one. This is actually one of my favorite fonts that I use a lot. So once I've chosen my font, what I want to do is I'm going to create a circle. And I'm going to make my circle about as large as my ornament. It doesn't have to be exact, but it does help if it's pretty close to the same size. So I just like to expand my circle a little bit. Again, it does not have to be exact, but pretty close to the same size is a great option. Now I want to make sure that I've selected my red circle and my font, and I want to go up to the top where it says text. I want to choose put on path, and you'll see here that the name is now on this rounded circle path. But it's upside down, kind of backwards, not the way I want it to be. So you may need to play with it a little bit to figure out which way is the right way for your font, but you can see it looks like my font disappeared. It did not. It is still behind this circle. You just can't see it, and it can kind of be a little bit of a pain, but don't worry, it's still there. Now what I want to do is make sure that my font is selected, which can be a little difficult with this circle here. You see how now I can't like grab it? What you can do is take this design, this font, and you can move it to the back. So what you'll do is select this, and up here at the top, you'll see that you have these different options. So I'm just going to click move to back, which is this first one. And now you can see that we have our font correct. So I want to grab my font and I want to turn this into a path. The reason we're using a path is so that our software knows which direction to follow. Font is not a path unless you make it so we need to do that. It's really easy to do. What you'll do is go up to path, and you're going to click this first one, which is object to path. The next item you'll need to do is go to object, and you need to ungroup your design. Then you just go to path and union. That creates your design, and it is all by itself ready to go. I'm going to delete this circle, and what we need to do is to actually get this design, so this font, onto the bottom of our ornament. Now all I did was just double clicked onto my font, and I brought up these little arrows that let me turn it. I'm just going to turn it, and then I'm going to get it placed where I want it. So I just want it here on the bottom, and if I need to make adjustments, I just click again and I just sort of readjust. You can also make it a little bit bigger if you need to. Do whatever you need to do to make it the way you want it to look. It's up to you and how you want it to be. Now you do want this to be a separate color from the snowflake and from your outer ornament. Once I'm pretty happy with where everything is placed, I'm going to resize. So I'm just going to grab everything, and up here at the top, just like how we did the circles, we're going to change our sizing up here. So I'm going to change this from millimeters to inches, and I'm going to make this, let's do like a 5-inch ornament. And I think that's a pretty good size for an ornament. I want my text to be engraved, so I'm going to make that a different color. But now I also would like to add maybe a heart, and maybe we'll do a couple little hearts around here so I can show you what you need to do if you want to use the score lines. We're going to need to import our heart, so just go to File, Import. Just need to find the heart that I saved. Let's go with this one. And just click OK, and now you have this image. Now you'll see that it has a background. So what we'll need to do is go to Path, Trace Bitmap, and all you want to do is make sure Remove Background is on and just click OK. Then you'll be left with this black heart. You can delete the red one. Now what I want to do is I'm going to size this down so that it fits onto my ornament. So you're going to need to make these pretty small so we can zoom in. You can get rid of this. We can zoom back in if we want to. And I'm going to change the color of my heart. We'll just make it red just so that it's easy to see. Now, all we have to do is we can either do copy and paste and make a bunch of them, or you can right click on it and just click duplicate. I find that copy and paste for me is the way I prefer to do it, but it's really up to you and how you want your design to look. So don't worry if you want to do it a certain way. It's up to you. Copy paste works or duplicate works as well. So you can put as many of these around your design as you want to. It's really up to you and how you want to do it, or you can just do like 2 down here. Kind of play with it and do however you want, but I think I'm just going to do 2 down at the bottom. So I'm going to delete these extra ones. And I think that's kind of the way I want mine to look. Now I am going to kind of readjust a little bit here just to see and make sure everything's kind of where I want it. Now again, we can use the align option for this if we want to make sure that the Blackstones is in the center of our design. So remember, all you have to do is go up to Object and click Align and Distribute, and it'll bring up this menu, and then you just center it like that. Then I'm just going to kind of move my hearts around so that they're even, or at least as even as I can probably get them. You can use a line and things like that, but I really don't mind if they're a little bit off, but I think that looks pretty good. So once you're pretty happy with your design, what we're going to do is we're going to go to File and Save As. And I've already saved it once just to make sure I didn't lose my work, but I save it as Snowflake Ornament, Inkscape SVG, and then just click Save. Now it's going to tell me that I'm going to need to replace the old one, which is fine. I just saved it again, so I didn't lose anything. Let's head over to the Glowforge app, and I'm going to show you how to load this and what it's going to look like. So here is the Glowforge app, and what you want to do is you're going to use the upload option. So just click upload. You're going to go to the folder that you saved your snowflake ornament in and find that item. And it's going to take it a second just to kind of load into your software, but it really doesn't take very long. And you'll see here that it's got our design. Now you can see the couple of different items that it's showing. Now I know it's showing you kind of this background that's already cut out, so it's a little difficult to see, but I just don't have my laser on. But what you'll see here is you've got this big blue item, and you'll see you have 3 layers over here, and they're each of my different layers. So there's my name, the ornament and the snowflake, and the hearts. Now I want the name to engrave, so that's fine. But I want this one here, so the main snowflake, I'm going to change it to cut, and you'll see that my lines turned red. And then for my hearts, I just want those ones to score, so those are going to turn purple. So now you can see the difference a little bit better in the different colors. I'll move it over here, maybe you can see it a little bit better. Get back on the design. So you'll see here now, this is the blue, which is going to engrave. The red is going to cut, and the purple hearts are going to score. I wanted to do a couple different techniques so you could see, but because I had each of those layers as different colors, that's why it was allowing me to choose the different functions for each of those designs. So when you go back and look at your snowflake in Inkscape, you'll see that the snowflake and the ornament itself were one color. The Blackstones was a different color, and the hearts was still a different color. So there were 3 different colors used in our design. Now I'm going to show you how to cut this out, and I can't wait to show you how I assemble it. I've turned the Glowforge on, so currently it is centering our laser and kind of scanning our bed. So what you see here is the blank bed, and you might hear it making some noise in the background. That's it just moving around, getting ready for us to set up our design fully. So I always like to set it up first before I turn it on, just to make sure everything is the way I want it to be, so all of the different parts are set correctly. And that way, if I messed up something in an SVG or something isn't working right, I haven't bothered to turn the laser on, make all the noise, make all the smell, and that way it just sort of saves me just a little bit of like annoyance, I guess would be what I would call it. And then I like to just go back and turn the laser on, and then I set everything up that way. So currently it's homing, and this does take a little bit of time. And what you'll see is eventually this background will turn into the wood that we have in the machine. So it takes basically a photo of that and puts it up here on the screen so that we're able to place our design in a spot that makes sense for where our piece is. So now what you'll see is we have our design, and this is something I cut out earlier, and then we have this little design. Now I am probably going to size this down. It's pretty big. So what you can do is use the little ruler down here, and it's about 5 inches by 5 inches, which is a little big in my opinion for what I want to make. So I like to make it about 4 inches, which will size it down just a little bit. And what we'll do is kind of find where we want to put it. So you want to put it kind of close so that you can save some material, but you don't want to have it like over where you can see the black through the design. So that looks pretty good. Now what I'm going to do is just double check all of my settings, because it now knows that I'm using the medium draft board. So I just want to make sure that the name is engraved, the snowflake and the outside ring are cut, and the hearts are scored. So everything's good to go with this. Now it's continuing to center, so this does take a little bit of time, and that's partially why I like to just test it first, because this takes a while. And I'd rather just make sure my SVG works before I commit to turning the machine on, making it do all this work, and then to find out that it doesn't work and I have to go back and fix my SVG. It's personal preference, but you can do it however you want. Once it's done centering, it'll give you the little ready over here, and I'm just going to double check that nothing moved over here. This looks pretty good. I might move it a little closer. And then what I'm going to do is click print. Now it's going to prepare our print, autofocus the material again, so it does take another moment or two to kind of get with the next section, and then it's going to give us a time estimate about how long it's going to take to cut, engrave, and score our design. So we're looking at about 4 minutes and 2 seconds for this, which isn't too bad for this design with all the little details that it's going to need to cut around for the wood. Now, you'll notice that I have this little icon down here. It says I'm in the fast lane. It's because I have the Glowforge Pro, and I also have their premium subscription. So it gives me a little bit of an extra boost in time. I don't think it makes that big of a difference, but what I'm going to do now is over here on the screen, we're going to click print. That's going to tell the Glowforge itself that we are ready to go. We are ready to start printing, and then the little button on the Glowforge will light up, and I'll show you that part, and then I'll show you doing all the work. Right here is the button that you press to get it started, so I'm going to press that. And then I'll take you over here and get you a view of the laser. I'd run 1,000 miles if I could run with you. And from what I have heard, you do the same thing too. I wanna say forever, we could be good together. Guess mystery loves company. Late than never, you know we could do better. So take a chance and run with me. Everywhere we go, we turn to paradise. All I know is that I need you in my life. Let me show you how it feels to roll the dice. You know you want it. Just say the word. We want to let the laser kind of cool down and get that last bit of the like dirt and dust out of the machine, and then you can open it. So I usually just wait a minute or two, and now we can go ahead and open. You're going to hear it clicking. That's it's cooling down. Check it out. All right, so what we'll do first, I always pull the big piece out first. Set that off to the side. Look at how cool. Now you can see the engraving is the name, the scoring was the hearts. It just did an outline, and then the cutting, it cut around our circle, and then this cut around our little snowflake. Isn't that so neat? And then honestly, you really could keep this and do something with it as well if you wanted to. You could paint it, turn it into another ornament. So it's not like a throwaway piece. I would definitely hold on to this. You can always use it for something else. Now, the next thing that we need to do is to remove all the masking from our designs. So you'll see that there is kind of like a char marking on here. What you'll notice is it's not on the other side of these because that's not where the laser actually touched. So let's go ahead and I'll take you to the table. We'll get all of the masking off, and then I'll show you how I paint these. The first thing that we need to do is to remove the masking. So I like to just use my pin pen for this. There's a lot of options for how to remove masking. You can use duct tape, you can use your finger, it's whatever works for you, but I find that I really have good luck using my pin pen. Now it's gonna probably rip a little bit like around your name and things, and don't worry, we'll get those little pieces out here in just a second. But you just kind of pull that off, and it feels just like masking tape. And it's a little bit sticky, but nothing crazy. And then all I'm gonna do is just take my pin pen and just go in, and it's like a lot like weeding vinyl. So I just go in and pull off any of these extra little bits that might be stuck between my letters, and then I gotta get the insides of the hearts as well. But you just wanna go through and pull all of those off, and you'll see how much cleaner the wood looks now. And this is wood that you can now paint with some paint pens. Do whatever you wanna do to it, honestly. You can have a lot of fun with this and really kind of just make it your own. But once I've got all those pieces off, I'm gonna go ahead and peel the hearts, and you'll see that the wood now has a completely different color. Now you'll want to put the masking and take it off of both sides. So once I get it off the first side, I'm going to flip this over, and I'm just going to do the same thing on this side. And this side will come off a lot easier because we don't have the writing, so you can see that'll come off all very quickly. Now we're gonna do the snowflake, and you do wanna be gentle with the snowflake because it is pretty thin and you just don't wanna break it. So I usually just like to take my time, and I will take and go through and just pull up all of these little ends. So these little pointy things, and then all of these, and I just use my pin pen to kind of pull those off. But again, just make sure you're taking your time because you could end up breaking this, and you just cut it out, so you don't want to ruin it. And I'm going to go ahead and finish this. I'm going to take the masking off of both sides, and then I will show you guys how we paint this. Now that I have all the masking off, I'm going to use my paint pen. Now I just use a random piece of cardstock just to put it on my table. And these are paint pens from Elmer's. I'll link these down below, but these are what I use for all of my Glowforge when I want to paint my wood. And it works so well. So I'm just gonna color it in. It's basically all you really do with the paint pen is just kind of just make sure you color in all the spots. You want to make sure you get all the way to the edge so you don't have any wood showing through. And this one is one of the metallic ones, and I think these are so pretty for these ornaments. This blue is like the perfect little like winter blue. So pretty, so easy to do. You can see how quickly this goes. And then I usually let this dry, I would say like 20 minutes or so. It doesn't take very long to dry. And then I flip it over and I'll color the other side in just like this, because you'll be able to see potentially both sides. Now you're welcome to color this any color you want, any way you want to, and you can also color in your wood ring there that we made, but I kind of like to leave that as bare wood. I think it just looks really pretty, but you can always color in the star or the hearts if you want to, whatever you want to do. So let me go ahead, I'm going to finish coloring this and I'll color both sides, and then we can show you how to assemble it. I'm gonna keep it on the cardstock so it's a little easier to see against the table. But what I'm gonna do is I have a couple things. I've got some jewelry pliers. I have this little ring tool, and then I have a jump ring. So I like to put the ring tool on my thumb, and then I grab my jump ring, and I'm not real good at this. I've done this 1,000 times. I drop it almost every time. And what I'm gonna do is put my ring into my ring, my little ring tool, and then I just twist and it opens up the ring. Then all I need to do is insert the ring through the snowflake, and then I need to put the ring, like this big wood ring, through it. And again, I'm not amazing at this, and it's mostly just me. Like, I'm not good at this, never have been, probably never will be, so I usually just kind of have to fight with it to try to get everything the way I want it. And then I'm just gonna try to hold this ring because it's gonna keep wanting to fall off because it's kind of big. So I'm just gonna kind of push it down with my thumb. I hope all this makes sense. It probably doesn't. This is one of those items that like I feel like you almost just have to do it in order to truly understand what is happening. But like I'm currently mega struggling to keep this on here, which is not uncommon for me. Like this happens every time I do these. So you need to make sure that your jump ring is big enough, of course, to go through both pieces. And then you need to put your jump ring back together. Now, a lot of times I'll use my ring tool, which is on my thumb, but for this one, because it's a little bit of a tighter situation, I'm just gonna squeeze them together using the jewelry pliers, which also takes a little bit of finesse. And usually once I get it close enough together, I can get the ring tool on it, but not always. So like I said, I struggle with this. I've always struggled with this. This is not something I'm amazingly great at. I never have been. I probably never will be. I don't know. The people that make jewelry, the people that make keychains, you all amaze me because you're so good at this and you can get these in like 2 seconds. And for me, I sit here and struggle for like 3 hours. All right, we're making progress. I kind of got it. I do have to always remember that if I just use this fatter part of the pliers, it's a little bit easier to squeeze the ring together. But like in a situation like this, I just find it really tough to find a good place to squeeze the ring between the wood without like cracking anything, because you do need to be pretty gentle. So you can see I am riding a mega struggle bus, so it's not just anybody, you know, I'm not perfect here, people. I am really bad at this. This is just not something I'm good at. If you have any tips or tricks, by all means leave them below in the comments. Teach me your ways, magic people who can do jump rings like it's no big deal. Because I just can't, and I've never ever been able to. And it's really important that you get these pretty tight because the wood is pretty thin, so it'll come right off if you don't get this as tight as you need to. So they really need to be touching. Like I said, I'm just gonna ride the struggle bus for a minute. I'll get this, and then once I do, we'll show you what it looks like. Here is the finished ornament. Super fun, super easy, and you learned how to make this all on your own. So you can kind of take these concepts that you learned with the union and the difference and all of those types of skills and create your own designs very, very easily using Inkscape. Now again, this was geared towards making something on the Glowforge, but these same concepts will work with any of your craft cutters and learning how to make your own SVGs. If you have any questions at all, please let me know in those comments down below. And don't forget that you can save up to $500 on your Glowforge with the link down below. So be sure to check that out. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and as always, happy crafting!